Hey there, welcome to CNT Collectibles IMC. Hope you are doing well. All right, today we're going to take a look at catchers in our off-season homework. You put it like that, homework. Come on now, it's not that bad, is it? Anyways, Hall of Fame Tracker Series took a look at pitchers last week, so we'll move on to their battery mates and see who may or may not be on a path to long-term relevance. The primary metric that we use, or at least the starting metric that we use, is wins above replacement or WAR. If you want a primer or review on that, go ahead and check out my pitcher video. We break it down a little bit, but today we're just going to jump right into the catchers here. So there's 20 catchers in the Hall of Fame. We added one from last year. Our own hometown kid Joe Mauer got the call here. So average wins above replacement is 52.61. If you take a look at the players inducted post 1980, and you've got names like Fisk and Pudge, Benches in there, Piazza. They're monsters, and the average wins above replacement is 66. I don't think we're going to hold them quite to that standard, and get into why. But the highest wins above replacement, 74.8. The most hits, Pudge Rodriguez, 2,844, and the most home runs, 427. Mike Piazza, the aforementioned Mike Piazza here. So if we look at the wins above replacement by year, catchers tend to start peaking around age 24 and start to fall off about age 32 or something like that. Even when they're at their best, they're averaging between 4 and 5 wins on an annual basis. So what we don't want to see are pitchers catchers that are a few years into it and they average 6 or 7 wins above replacement. It's like, well, you have to average something that catchers really don't do. So if they have a monster season, then we'll add them in. But for the time being, we're going to look at guys that need to average roughly 4, or just a little bit on either side of that on an annual basis to stay on the track here. So you can see the trend lines that we have, looking at the post 1980 inductees versus the versus all of them, basically. So that includes those as well. So the bar is a little bit low. When you look at what's going to happen over the next couple of years, Mauer just got in. He had like 53 wins above replacement. Buster Posey's getting in at like 57. Yadier Molina's got about 55. And so the bar can be lowered, with the caveat that you better be really good at something here. Mauer and Posey both had MVPs and batting titles, and Yadier Molina defined the position defensively for a long time. So we'll have to use our shoulder top computer a little bit on some of these guys here. So got a few players that are they're a little bit young here. We don't want to add them to the well, we want to at least keep an eye on them, but we don't need to give them their own page or anything like that. Don't have to spend a whole lot of time on them until they can put in a little bit of time on the diamond, give them a few years here and let them season. So Francisco Alvarez, just 22 years old, and he's ahead of the Hall of Fame pace, mostly because he came up early. Most catchers don't come up until a little bit later. So let's see if he can start putting up some. Well, he had a pretty good season. He's off to a nice start. Can he have some 5-6 win seasons at some point here? But the age thing is a really big benefit. You come up early and produce, and he's doing exactly that. So see if he can keep it going. In a couple of years, again, we'll start taking a little bit closer look at him. Gabby Moreno, not a great season this year. He was really good last year, but this year, quite a step back, but just 24 years old, and he's halfway on the track to your average Hall of Famer. So, again, if you're a believer in some of these guys, buying them when they have a down year, that's kind of when you want to do it. You don't want to buy them when they come off of a huge year. So, Austin Wells, the Yankees rookie, had a nice season, a nice postseason. He needs to average just over 4 wins on an annual basis here, sitting at about 40% of what average Hall of Famer has at that age. But again, he's just to get to that roughly 48. Again, if we can get to 48 by 35 and then put in a little bit of garbage time to get to like 52 or 53, that's a good starting point on these guys. But again, just like the pitchers, it's more about the hardware. So, in the awards here, Bo Naylor, Patrick Bailey, Logan O'Hoppe, Yainer Diaz. So again, a number of players here that they've done a little something in the league, but we're going to need to see some more here. Patrick Bailey defensively, certainly getting it done here. All right, a few players that have been around for a little bit, but are really not on the track. So Shea Langeliers, it looked like he had a really good season, right? But in terms of wins above replacement, not so much. Ryan Jeffers starting to take over the full-time job and showing some prowess behind the plate here, and Tyler Stevenson with a solid year, but because of their age, getting a little bit later start, that does put them off the track, sitting at somewhere between 3 and 6 WAR roughly, when the average Hall of Famer is about triple that, and so they need to average what players tend to peak at on an annual basis. So again, that doesn't mean don't get them or anything like that. It just means be mindful of what you're paying for these guys here. So start off with a couple that I don't know, just like Sal Perez here. I don't know what's going on here. So 34 years old, 18 wins above replacement. On that metric alone, he wouldn't really be considered for Hall of Fame by any stretch here. So not much of a defensive player, but 9 All-Star games, 5 Gold Gloves, which is kind of in contradiction to his defensive WAR, but in 4 Silver Sluggers, a World Series hero. So he's really, really pretty beloved by Kansas City. So if Kansas City by themselves vote, then he's definitely in. Let's see if we can get other baseball writers to follow suit here. But he did define it, kind of offensively. He was a heck of a player here. So again, it's difficult to say what happens to him down the road, what the sentiment is going to be. Is he going to be forgotten, or is he going to get some love? I imagine not right off at the start, but it might be a bit down the road. Another player is really not on the track, but JT Realmuto, who's kind of snake bit here. 33 years old, 34 wins above replacement. Not too bad. I mean, he's over 2/3 the pace of an average Hall of Famer, and if he is able to put in he needs to put up another 20 or 30 wins above replacement over the next couple of years, which is going to be difficult. But he's got 3 All-Star games, 2 Gold Gloves, and 3 Silver Sluggers. Very good defensive player, and that's where you can make your mark, like a Yadi Molina, which not coincidentally kind of hurt JT Realmuto. Yadi, won all the Gold Gloves while JT was in his prime, and now that Yadi's out of the way, it's like, well, maybe JT can start picking up some hardware. But then Patrick Bailey comes along, who's is an incredible defensive player. So a little bit snake bait. Let's see if the players can look beyond him. But honestly, if JT Realmuto's getting consideration, then I think you have to look backwards a little bit and start looking at guys like Russell Martin and Brian McCann in the same light here, who really defined things offensively, at least. So Russell Martin did some pretty great defense as well. But anyways, some of the more notable names to focus on a little bit. Shawn Murphy, great year last year. This year he was hurt. So he's halfway on the pace of an average Hall of Famer. He needs to average 5.28 wins on an annual basis to get to that roughly 48 wins by age 35, I think it was. Defensively, he's a solid player, but again, late start. The trajectory was close. He was closing the gap, but getting hurt this year doesn't help things at all. So he's got a Gold Glove. He's got an All-Star game. He's certainly capable of doing this for a few years here, so we'll see if we can ramp it back up. But they're really stingy. The Hall of Fame's been really stingy about catchers. 20 of them are in there over the last 100 years or something like that. So you're getting 2 per decade. And again, Mauer just got in. We're looking at Yadi and Posey. And so it's going to be tough for a number of these guys to get in. And in catcher, again, it looks a little dicey overall. So Will Smith, 29 years old, 18 wins above replacement. He's over 50% away on the track here. Needs to average under 5 wins per year to get that 48 by 35. Decent defensively, and he has a couple of All-Star games to his credit. So again, coming up a little bit late, but he's tracking at least, so we'll see how well he can age. But getting close to 30 here, so he's kind of running out of time to make up that gap, as that prime's only a few years left in that catcher prime here. So let's see what he can do. So I like him, but let's see if he can step it up a little bit. Cal Raleigh, last couple of years have been terrific here. So 13 wins above replacement. Average Hall of Famer at age 27 has about 23 wins. So he needs to average just over 4 wins on an annual basis, which, again, that's what he's been doing. So let's see if we can keep it going as he enters his prime here. Already has a nice defensive WAR. Cumulative total. Yeah, he was into 300s when he retired, just to put things in a little bit into context. But he got his Gold Glove this year, I think it was. So anyways, yeah, nice trajectory. As soon as he came up, I mean, he's producing at a rate eclipsing average Hall of Famers at the catcher position. So let's see if he can keep it going here. Alejandro Kirk. All right, this one's kind of weird. So 25 years old, and he's really benefiting from coming up early. 10 wins on an annual basis, 10 total wins. Average Hall of Famers 14, so he's over 2/3 over 2/3 of the way on the track. Needs to average under 4 wins on an annual basis, but he hasn't done that yet. Defensively, he's pretty darn good. 20 defensive WAR. Wins above replacement, All-Star game, Silver Slugger. He can hit. Really benefits from the WAR from being able to walk and his defense. And does that make a Hall of Famer? Walking and defense. So in some cases it could, but I think he might get overshadowed. So while he's on the track here, if he continues to put up 2-3 win seasons, he should diverge. And we'll see how long he can stay on this list here. So fun to watch and everything like that. He kind of swings at everything and hits it. but again, he's got to average something. He hasn't quite done yet, so it seems like a low bar. But mostly he was just up early and able to make some hay of it. So William Contreras here. All right, so we'll get into the last couple guys that I'd probably take a little bit more seriously, along with Cal Raleigh, 26 years old. 13 wins above replacement, the average Hall of Famer at that age, 18 wins, needs to average under 4 wins on an annual basis to get to that 48 by 35. Defensively, again, he's all right, but he's a great offensive player, so a couple of All-Star games and a Silver Slugger. And you can see he's just accelerating up to that line, and we'll talk about him in just a minute. In context with this next player, our final player here, and that's Adley Rushman. Probably no surprise there. So, 26 years old, 13 wins above replacement, 18 wins is what the average Hall of Famer requires there. And again, he needs just under 4 wins on an annual basis to get to that 48 by 35. Defensively, pretty good. A couple of All-Star games, a Silver Slugger, and same thing, comes up just a touch later than the average Hall of Famer, but it's really accelerating towards that line. And so he and Contreras are on a pretty darn similar path here as it stands. And we'll see how that continues over the years, but for me, looking at Adley Rushman, if you look at his Bowman first refractor autograph, sitting in I'm more of a raw PSA 9 guy or whatever, so the price for that is sitting for the raw PSA 9 is sitting around somewhere between $250 and $300. William Contreras you can get for $50, and so with a similar path, and that's why I like to do this. For a similar path, it's like, well, I might take a shot on the guy that's cheaper if I've got two guys on the same path, a little bit out of sight, out of mind. So he's been terrific. How much longer he stays on the radar, I do not know, but that's how it goes. So, anyways, that's what I got for. I should probably update his picture. It's still his college uniform, but Oriole orange, and so it kind of matches. But that's the OSU hat still. I'm cheating here. I'm using my stuff from last year, but that's all right. No one watches this anyway, so it's all good. But I appreciate you watching it. Thank you very much, and we'll get into some fun stuff in a couple days with the first baseman. So that's what I got for you. Have a great rest of the day, and we'll talk to you later.